Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtuprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with our discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, The Cause of All Causes, text number 22 onwards. So Brahmaji is further glorifying Krishna and praying to Krishna. Kala gun vyatikaraha parinamaha swabhavtaha karmano janma mahata purushadhishtadabhut. After the incarnation of the first Purusha, Karna Arnavshai Vishnu, or Karna Dakshai Vishnu, the Mahat Tattva, or the principles of material creation, take place, and then time is manifested. And in course of time, the three qualities appear. Nature means the three qualitative appearances. They transform into activities. So when Prabhupada say, or Brahmaji says, after the incarnation of first Purusha, Mahavishnu or Karandaksha Vishnu, the Mahat Tattva or the principles of material creation take place. And then time is manifested. Means it just becomes manifest. Mahat Tattva is always there. Mahat Tattva is the sum total of all material ingredients. It's always there. Sometimes it manifests in types of, in the form of universes, and sometimes it's unmanifest. That's all. By the omnipotency of the Supreme Lord, the whole material creation evolves by the process of transformation and reactions one after another. And by the same omnipotency, they are wound up again one after another and conserved in the body of the Supreme. Kala or time is a synonym of nature and is a transformed manifestation of the principles of material creation. As such, Kal may be taken as a first cause of all creation, and by transformation of nature, different activities of the material world become visible. So by transformation of nature, of course, this whole process of transformation is spoken of in detail in third canto. How it all happens. The whole different activities of material world become visible, means they manifest. These activities may be taken up as a natural instinct of each and every living being, or even of the inner organisms. And after the manifestation of activities, there are varieties of products and byproducts of the same nature. Originally, these are all due to the Supreme Lord. Vedanta Sutras and Bhagavatam thus begin with the absolute truth as the beginning of all creations. Janmadi yasya yata. So that's the first shloka of Bhagavatam. When it says Janmadi yasya yata, means everything emanates from him. So even Kal, time, or three modes of nature, or any Mahat Tattva, everything basically emanates from him. Mahattastu vikurvana rajah sattvopa brahmhita tamah pradhanastva bhavad dravya jnana kriyatmakaha. Material activities are caused by the Mahat Tattvas being agitated. At first, there is transformation of the modes of goodness and passion, and later, due to the mode of ignorance, matter, its knowledge, and different activities of material knowledge come into play. Material creations of every description are more or less due to the development of the mode of passion, rajas. The Mahatattva is a principle of material creation. And when it is agitated by the will of the Supreme, at first the modes of passion and goodness are prominent. And afterwards, the modes of passion being generated in due course by material activities of different varieties becomes prominent. And the living entities are thus involved more and more in ignorance. So, because of passion, first this, um, like Prabhupada saying, Mahat Tattva is a principle of material creation, and when it is agitated by will of the Supreme, at first the modes of passion and goodness are prominent. And afterwards, it comes into mode of ignorance. So, what is a mode of ignorance? Basically, mode of ignorance, the first thing of mode of ignorance is, I'm this body. That is the first sign of ignorance. And then the whole thing goes down. Of course, in the beginning, for creation, we need passion. In the beginning of the universal creation, the passion is required. Any creativity cannot happen without passion. But then it goes down to ignorance. Brahma is a representation of the mode of passion, and Vishnu is a representation of mode of goodness, while the mode of ignorance is represented by Lord Shiva, the father of material activities. So Brahma is representation of mode of passion, and Shivji is representation, mode of ignorance is represented by Lord Shiva. Shivji does not come under ignorance. Brahmaji, when he's a living entity, he can come in contact with mode of passion. And Vishnu is never under or comes ever in contact with material mode of goodness. He's always beyond, he's always transcendent. Material nature is called the mother, and the initiator for materialistic life is the father, Lord Shiva. So Shivji, of course, his mode of ignorance is represented by Lord Shiva. Now that is his service. That is not his position. His position, his Shiva Tattva is even beyond Jeev Tattva. But this is his service. He takes it as his service that he has to deal with the mode of ignorance. And material nature is called mother, and that is represented by Durga. So Shivji is husband of Durga. And so he is the initiator for materialistic life. All material creation by the living entities is therefore initiated by mode of passion. With the advancement of the duration of life in a particular millennium, the different modes act by gradual development. In the age of Kali, when the mode of passion is most prominent, material activities of different varieties, in the name of advancement of human civilization, take place. And the living entities become more and more involved in forgetting their real identity. The prominence, their real identity means the spiritual nature. By a slight cultivation of the mode of goodness, a glimpse of spiritual nature is perceived. But due to the prominence of the mode of passion, the mode of goodness becomes adulterated. Therefore, one cannot transcend the limits of the material modes, and therefore, realization of the Lord, who is always transcendental to the modes of material nature, becomes very difficult for the living entities. Even though prominently situated in the mode of goodness through cultivations of the various methods. In other words, the gross matters are Adibhutam, their maintenance is Adideva, and the initiator of material activities is called Adhyatma. In the material world, these three principles act as prominent features, namely as raw material, its regular supplies, and its use in different varieties for sense enjoyment by the bewildered entities. And I'm pretty sure everybody has understood everything about this. Okay, it's difficult. So this much we understood. Mode of passion is represented by Lord Brahma, mode of goodness by Lord Vishnu, and mode of ignorance by Lord Shiva. So any creation, now Naradji had asked this question to Brahmaji about the creation. How does creation happen? So Brahmaji is trying to explain this to Narad Muni. So any creation happens by mode of passion. So after the creation, Then, as I said, the living entities, they start thinking, or the whole um, crux behind creation is to enjoy this creation. And this creation cannot be enjoyed until we are in body consciousness. I mean, that is ignorance. That is mode of ignorance. So what Prabha is saying, so once the living entities are in ignorance, and then passion is already there, they started, and then the creation, the activities start. In this age of Kali, what Prabhupada is saying, when the mode of passion is most prominent. In other ages, mode of goodness was most prominent. Of course, it was all dwindling. From Satyuga, where the all mode of goodness, it started dwindling, going down. In Kali Yuga, of course, Prabhupada, the passion is most prominent, but slowly, slowly, it is going to become ignorance is most prominent. Even it goes down. So what happens in this passion? Passion means then living entity gets into too many material activities. And Prabhupada, in the name of advancement of human civilization, the living entity becomes more and more involved in forgetting their real identity. Means that they go down more and more into mode of ignorance. A slight cultivation of mode of goodness can transcend, can help a living entity out of this mode of passion. But even that becomes adulterated. Therefore, this Kali Yuga, one cannot, it's very difficult for one to get out of this material world because it's so difficult. The whole atmosphere is a mode of passion and ignorance. So, what to speak of goodness? One cannot come to the mode of goodness. So, therefore, Prabhupada said, one cannot transcend the limits of material modes. And this material modes, they are so strong. Prabhupada, in one place, he said, the whole material world is made of these material modes of nature. So these three material modes, so of course in suppose mode of goodness, there are different uh, gradations. So first he said there are three gradations of each, so 3 times 3 becomes 9. And out of those three, again, they have 3 more gradations of every 3 gradations. So 9 gradations of mode of goodness, 9 of ignorance, 9 of passion. So all together they become 81. 9 times 9 times 9, 81. So these 81 gradations, they are the cause of 8,400,000 species of life. So these gradations are what? They cover over the consciousness of the soul. Pure consciousness of soul is covered over by these 81 gradations of material modes. And accordingly, then he gets the living entity, he starts acting. Suppose on a jiva, of jiva is pure, soul is always pure, but he gets covered over by these material modes in different permutations and combinations. So he gets a body of suppose cat. So jiva is very pure, but he gets covered over these material modes, and these material modes act like a cloth. If you want to look at a cloth, it has lots of threads and entwined together. So these threads, they make the whole cloth. So similarly, the material modes, or if you like thread, they make the whole material universe. And we can, if you have, of course, I won't recommend it, but if you have seen the movie Matrix, and this was the whole crux of that movie Matrix. And the idea was matrix. Matrix means it's a combination. It's an entanglement of 3 modes, and one cannot get out of this matrix. This is how Krishna has designed it. So these 3 modes, they cover over one living entity, and it becomes cat. and they cover over another living entity, he becomes a rat or a mouse. And then the jiva in the form of cat, because he is covered by these three modes in such a way, he thinks this rat is my food, is my enemy, and he runs after this rat, and rat runs away. And this is how we are all acting. Jiva is very pure, completely pure. It's divine. But these three modes, they are so powerful. We'll read about them in Bhagavad Gita when we come to that chapter, three modes of material nature. And that's why they are called guna. Guna also means, in a way, it means rope. So the rope, this rope is so strong. So, I mean, if those who have been to say, Jagannath Puri for Rath Yatra, they know the rope is given to pull the whole chariot. If we take out the rope, if we untwine the rope, unentangle it, open it up, then single threads are there, and single threads can easily be broken. And with that single thread, we can't even pull anything. But once the ropes are made so strong, so tight, they're entwined, they're entangled, they're wrapped around, then they become so strong they can pull the whole chariot. And we can't even cut that rope. So this is how the modes of material nature work. They just bind us, they just entangled us. So what does bhakti do? Or any yoga process? It starts slowly unentangling those ropes. So those material modes of nature, they start uncovering. They start getting uh, and opening up. But these modes of nature, this is what Krishna says, Devi Hesha Gunamai Mam Maya Duratyaya. It's very difficult to get rid of this material energy of mind, get beyond this material energy. It is very difficult. Even when somebody comes in the process of yoga, whether it is bhakti yoga or hatha yoga or jnana yoga, those old sanskaras, old karmas are still going with that soul. So those sanskaras are so strong, so strongly binding the consciousness of the soul. It's very difficult to get out of this material modes. Of course, devotee, because we surrender or we are trying to surrender, Krishna helps, devotees help, Guru helps, they all help. But they can only help to a certain extent. We have to work hard. We have to have that strong desire that, yes, I don't want to be here. I want to get out. I want to get out of the bounds of these material modes. And then Maya Shakti, of course, Maya Shakti is also very powerful, and she wants to test if this jiva is really interested in getting out or is just faking it. So she puts lots of tests in the path of the devotees, in the path of any yogi, in fact, because she wants to make sure we are ready. But just imagine, even if we think we are happy in this material world, we are bound. A prisoner in the jail also thinks he is happy, because if he hasn't seen the life outside, he thinks I'm happy here in his own cell and in his own group of other prisoners. He thinks he's happy. But even if we think we are happy, and if we come to know and we are reading from scriptures the life of when one is free, when one is completely liberated, then what's a life? Life in the spiritual world. Krishna gives a glimpse of that life. So we have to understand that life is awaiting us. That is our real life. That is a liberated stage. That's our um, stage where there are no material modes of nature bothering us, empowering us, suppressing us, binding us. So that life, how wonderful that life would be. Krishna just gives a glimpse. We'll read more in chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita. What are the qualities of a person who is spiritually advanced? Means those people in the spiritual world, they all have those qualities. People in material modes, they are bound up mostly in ignorance and passion. And look what they do. Look what I mean. We are reading the whole day about this bombing and killing of so many army men in Kashmir. This is what is going to happen in the material world. Padam padam yat vipadam natesha. Every step there is a danger in the material world. But in spiritual world there is no such danger. No more birth, no more death, no more disease, no more old age. No problems at all. No fighting, nothing. And it's funny, a person who commits an act in this kind of mode, in ignorance, complete ignorance, killing so many people, and he thinks he can be eligible to go back to this heavenly planet, not even spiritual world, heaven. Heaven is, Gita clearly says, Urdhvam Gachanti Satvastho. One who is in mode of goodness, he goes to higher planets. So, in the mode of goodness means all his consciousness, all his activities, all his dealings, all his thoughts, everything would be in the mode of goodness. But if one is acting in the mode of ignorance, we can only understand what his consciousness must be, what his thoughts must be, what his talks must be, what his food must be. So he cannot go to heaven. Heaven is not for these kind of people. But they don't understand. This is an act of lowest mode of ignorance. Lowest. So the Udam Gachanti Sattvastu, Madhya Tishtanti Rajasa, Jaganya Guru Nrityastha, Adho Gachanti Tamasa. Those in mode of tamas, ignorance, they go down, down and down. Down means down in the lower species of life or down planets. So this is not what human life is for, to go down in those planets or in lower species of life. Human life is to advance ourselves, to make go up, go higher and higher. But this is a lack of real knowledge, real education, real um, scriptural teachings. Of course, they think they have the scriptural teachings, but it's complete lack of those teachings. Proper education, proper knowledge, and that's when people do these kinds of acts. So anyway, I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Because these shlokas, this philosophy is very technical, very strong. We have to spend some more time on next shloka to understand better. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. All
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, seeing the nature and duty of army men, I feel like the difficulties we face in our job or in our bhakti are nothing as compared to the nature of duty they are facing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We complain about cold here in Delhi, and look at they are getting killed in the cold weather in Kashmir. How much they have to endure.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, tell me, once Jiva falls down to lower species, for instance, somebody has fallen onto cat or a dog. So, what are the, I mean, as per scriptures, what are the chances for them to kind of revive their spirituality and come back? Do they have to then go all the entire route, 84 million species, or 8,400,000, sorry, or do they kind of, it's just that few karmas and then they might again get opportunity to revive? So how does spirituality works for them?
See, lower species, then they evolve according to the laws of nature. So, um, so maybe underwater, then to plants, then insects, and whatever, howsoever they go through that cycle of evolution. Or suppose just like when we do the Sankirtan Yajna. So anybody who hears the chanting of holy names of the Lord, then that soul, even if that soul is in animal body or plant body or fish body or insect body, that soul gets a chance. He has a chance to come into human form next life. And then in human form, he has a chance to make progress further. So Harinam is very powerful, or Prasad, Krishna Prasad is very powerful. But other than that, if somebody doesn't have that, then that soul has to go through his cycle of evolution as it is designed by nature or by Krishna himself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Related to this, if a devotee, so his next birth will be a human in the human body, or it will depend on the thoughts he is having at the time of death.
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of the question. There was some sound.
Prabhuji, if a devotee who does some bhakti in this lifetime,
Okay.
so his next birth is in human body, or it will depend on the thoughts he is having in the time of death.
For a devotee, chances are, very high chances are, he will take a human form. Of course, like Bharat Maharaj's case, because his consciousness was completely absorbed in that deer, so he took the form of a deer. But those are exceptions. Chances are a devotee or any yogi, not just a devotee, yogi, he takes a human birth. So if for nothing else, at least let's do yoga to get human form next life.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji,
ये
I just want to know small thing.
बर्तनों की आवाज कहाँ से आ रही है इतनी? Okay.
Prabhuji, just wanted to know, is it our past karma also decides that in the life what we get now will have what kind of material nature, like the person will be in mode of passion or will be in, like, past karma will also play some role in this. Am I clear in my question?
See, past karma. Suppose in this life, whatever activities we are doing,
Mm-hmm.
So that is based on the consciousness that we have. So we are doing these activities.
Okay.
And then these activities
Mm-hmm.
will make that consciousness more and more strong. So whatever consciousness is at the time of death, that kind of body we will get. And whatever activities we have done, good or bad, we will get the result of those activities next life. But the consciousness carries on, so we will make that consciousness more and more strong, unless until, because in human form, the idea is we have an independence. The soul is that much evolved, at least it has independence to do, to change the course somewhere. That I don't want to do that, I can do this. So he has that higher intelligence or higher consciousness.
Okay.
So yes, from just like uh, again, I was listening to Shivani Didi once, and she explains it beautifully. Uh, Suppose March 31st, which is our financial year closing. So based on that balance sheet on March 31st, April 1st onwards, our activities start on April 1st, whatever new balance sheet starts. And that is based on activities till March 31st. But after April 1st, we have an option, we have an independence. We can change that balance sheet. Okay, balance sheet is written till March 31st because of March 31st. But after that, we still have a choice. So we should make that choice properly. So means activities are also based on our association. So consciousness is also guided by the association. So whatever association we take, consciousness gets improved or degraded, whatever. So we have to be very careful.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Mother. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri
Thank you so much.